Welcome back to our drill press cabinet build. This is episode 3, the final episode. As you've been watching the previous 2 episodes, you saw me build the box, put the countertop on, put the wheels on, and also build the drawers and install them. So in this episode, we're going to focus on installing the front faces, finishing and installing the front faces of the cabinet, and then completing the project. With all the drawer boxes installed, we're now just going to do a fit for the front faces that we cut earlier, and just to make sure that all the dimensions are okay. And what I do is I placed the 3 face panels, drawer faces on one side, one of the banks, and I just want to check that the center line from the edge of the cabinet over here, these are flush with the back of the side of the cabinet, to the center line is correct, and it falls exactly on the center line, so I need a little bit more space here. Remember, there has to be an 1/8 inch gap between all drawers, including at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and trim these down a little bit. I'm going to trim them down about 1/8 of an inch because I don't really have that. This is really right on the line, a little bit over, so I want an 1/8 of an inch gap between the drawer sides, or the ends, sorry, like this. So I'm not getting it, and I'm going to trim back this bank by 1/8 of an inch, and then on this bank here I'm going to trim it back by a 1/16. That would give me perfect dimensions. And the other thing is I noticed that I don't really have, I have an 1/8 of an inch gap here. This is flush with the bottom of the cabinet. I have an 1/8 of an inch gap here. I just about have it here, but I got nothing left on top. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim only the bottom row of drawer fronts, this one and this other one that goes here, because I'm doing just the bottom one, because if I take this off, I can see that the drawer box is just about flush with this drawer, the second drawer face, and I really want this to be at least a 1/4 inch overhang for adjustment. I don't want to be seeing this drawer face, the drawer box through the clearance here, so I'm going to just cut the bottom drawer faces, both of them, to bring that down about a 1/4 inch overlap. Drawer fronts trimmed to size, it's now time to round over the edges of the drawer fronts. I inserted a 1/4 inch round over bit into my router table, and I'm going to round over the edges on both sides of the drawer fronts. And I'd like to mention, on this project, I am not going to band these edges. And the main reason is because I'm going to be doing a finish on them, so I don't have to worry about seeing this end grain through a clear finish or natural finish. So because I'm going to be using a coat of primer and 2 coats of finish, I'm pretty sure that I can get these edges to not show any of the end grain and to look very nice. I selected these drawer pulls for the drawers. They have a 3-inch mounting hole center line, and they are brushed stainless steel with a nice knurled center in the handle. I went ahead and marked out the center points for all of the mounting hole locations and all the drawer fronts. And on the back side of the drawer, I also marked out, using a nice little template I made, holes in the corners that are inset a 1/4 inch from the edge. I use this nice little jig I made. Basically, it allows me to just quickly place the jig on the corner and then center punch the holes very quickly for all the drawers. And these holes will accept these drawer bumpers that you saw me use before, and they give an extra cushion when the drawer closes so it doesn't bump against the cabinet box. So now we're going to go ahead and drill the holes. Placed the drawer fronts back on the cabinet box and aligned all of the joints to get them as close as possible, straight and possible, and consistent with the edges as well, the edges of the drawer fronts, as well as all of the the clearances between the drawers, and as well as between the countertop and the drawers, top drawers. So everything has been positioned just so. And now I'm just going to go through and use a nail. This is a 16D nail. And I'm just going to press them through on each of the holes. And this will allow me to line the fronts, the drawer fronts, very precisely with the drawer box. So I can then drill the drawer boxes and get this near perfect alignment. We're just about ready to finish the drawer faces now. And so the last thing to do is to give them a good sanding, and then we can apply a coat of primer and 2 coats of the Emerald Sherwin-Williams paint. With the drawer fronts all sanded, I'm going to apply the first coat of the finish, which is going to be just like I did for the cabinet box, this Benmore Fresh Start Exterior Heavy Duty Primer. It's for high tannin woods, but it'll work fine here. And then on top of that, once I sand between coats, I'm going to then apply 2 coats of Emerald's urethane trim enamel and give it that same nice finish that I gave the cabinet box. While the paint dries on our drawer fronts, it's a good time to drill the holes, the mounting holes the drawer fronts will be attached, how they attach to the drawer box. So I pull them out of the cabinet. Here they are here, and I mark them for which level they're in, because remember, we put these alignment holes here very precisely to align the handle through the box to get that nice 1/8 inch clearance around all the drawers and to get them to fit really nearly perfectly. So we'll go. So I pulled them up and I labeled bottom, mid, top on the drawers so they go back in the same spot. And in addition to those alignment holes, as you can see them here, that I punched through the drawer faces, I also marked out 4 additional holes to secure the drawer face to the box with these number 8 truss head screws by inch, which they're going to be anchored, attaching the drawer front in additional support beyond just the handle screws, which go through here, through these holes here. So we're going to have a very secure attachment of the drawer face to the drawer box. So we're going to go ahead and drill those holes now with a 3/16 inch drill bit. So we had some issues with finishing the drawer faces. Here's a good example of it. I've tried several attempts of sanding between coats and applying the emerald paint with a roller, with a brush, and I'm getting this not so good finish. You can see I have some excess paint line there. I'm also getting some of this micro blistering, which is not something I want to live with. So what I decided to do, unlike the box of the cabinet, which came out, I think, fairly nice, but maybe because it's such a big surface, you don't notice uh, many of the imperfections in the paint. But all in all, I think it was a pretty good, you know, uh, roller job. But for the front of the cabinet, it's just not good enough. And so the drawer faces, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand them down. I already started to do that with a 220 grit sandpaper on an oscillating sander. And then I'm going to tack it. I'm going to clean it off the residue or the grit, and I'm going to spray them. And you can see the back. I sanded all the sides in the back. So this is my all-out solution. Is spraying is such a nicer finish. So I'm hoping that I get a nice spray on these, and it's almost perfect. So let's see what happens. So I took out my my spray gun, my Astro spray gun. This is the larger orifice one. It's a 1.9 millimeter orifice on this gun. So this is what I use for spraying, you know, heavy primers and top coats. Or base coats. Sorry, not top coats. And what I did was I had mixed up the paint here, and I thinned it out with my with some distilled water here. I thinned it out about 10-15% with the distilled water, so that my Ford number 4 cup gives me about a 45-second viscosity on it. So we're going to go ahead, and I don't want to thin it out too much because I want the thickest I can spray, give a nice even coat. And so I'll just have to adjust the air pressure up a little bit if I'm not getting a good atomization on the paint. But we're going to go with this 45-50 second type viscosity level and see how it goes. Here are the pieces all ready to be painted. I did a test spray down here in the cardboard to get the spray pattern right by adjusting the controls on the gun. So we're going to go ahead and spray the backside first and the edges, and then we're going to flip it over onto the golf tees, which I like to use to standoffs when I do the front face. Here are the panels ready for the second and hopefully the final coat. So like I said, I gave them a light sanding with a 00 between coat sanding pad, and then I wiped them with a damp sponge and dried them with a clean towel. So they're pretty clean, can't get much better than that. And they look good as far as I took all the little micro bubbles out of them. Let's see how it looks when I do the final coat. After drying for about 3 days, here's the final product of the spray job. And you can see it came out very good. You know, well above what I could get with the brush or the roller application. So it's nearly perfect. It's very even, very smooth. And it's not, you know, professionally perfect in that it still does have some blemishes. If you look on the micro side, you can see here, see those little bumps and on the paint. I think that may be dust. I'm not sure. I don't have a spray booth, so I might have, during the drying process, some of this dust settled on the piece. And I do have one major blemish here. I think it was a bubble that ended up popping as it dried. So, but because it's underneath the handle, I'm not really that concerned about it. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is stop the process right now and call this done. I'm just going to hit these pieces. I'm gonna give them a light buffing with these 3M final finishing pads. They're quadruple zero smoothness or grit, and what I've used these before, and basically what they'll do is they'll take down some of this roughness, these bubbles or particles, whatever you want to call them, and not dull the finish. So that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do and call it the final stage of the finish for the project. With the draw fronts now completely finished, it's now time to install these bumpers, these draw bumpers that we talked about before. So we're gonna go ahead and install them. And to make the installation easier, because it's quite a tight fit into these corner holes that we drilled, 3/16. I'm gonna use kind of an out-of-the-box solution here. I'm gonna use this Clear Guide. It's an electrical cable lubricant. I've used it when I've done big wiring projects. But in this case, it works well because it's a water-based lubricant that completely dries residue-free. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use put some into each hole, a small amount just to rim the hole, and then this will really help with the installation of these bumpers as I twist them in. With the draw bumpers now installed on all the draw fronts, it's now time to install the draw fronts to the draw boxes. Here, as you see, I reinstalled them into the cabinet box, being careful to position them back into the same position I used when I did the alignment markings and drilled these handle holes here. So to ensure I get that nice gap, even uniform gap between all the draws. So as we said before, we're going to be using these nice knurled handle stainless steel draw pulls, and we're going to be installing them with these 1.5 inch 8/32 screws from the back side of the draw, like this, like this. In addition to that, we're going to be using these truss head screws that I showed you earlier. These truss head screws will go into the additional holes we drilled here, and they'll give me that extra attachment support needed for the draws. So we'll have 4 of those on the outside corners, and they'll have these handle screws for the middle. To ensure the alignment between the draws is correct, I'm not going to install the additional supporting attachment screws to the draw faces yet, because what I want to do is first install the draws to the alignment screws, which is the door handle screws, make sure I get the right fit, and then once I see that, then I will install the additional supporting mounting screws here after I check the fit, and I can make any small adjustments here with the screws. I attached all the drawer fronts and the handles to the drawer boxes and aligned them, adjusted the panels so that they fit very nicely. I got a nice consistent gap between all drawers, and I'm even with the sides and the bottom. So I think we're just about there. And we're gonna lock these drawer fronts in place now with these additional mounting screws here, these truss head 1.25 inches. So let's go ahead and do that. Here's the finished cabinet with my drill press on it. I'm very happy with the way it came out. I love the butcher block countertop. And I do love this finish. I mean, it was a little tricky as you saw it in the process, but I mean, I think it came out very nice. You can't even see any of the imperfections in it. I think for a workshop cabinet, it's above the quality level that you would normally see. And the drawers I'm very happy with. As you see, I started filling in the drawers, and they're very smooth. They have the soft close feature to it. Here are my drill bits. So I'm pretty happy. I put a liner in all the drawers, and sometimes I even made a holder here for my Forstner bits. So this is what I planned for, and I'm very happy with it. So I hope this helps you when you consider upgrading your drill press cabinet. If you have a shorter drill press like I do, not a floor mounted, but a tabletop drill press. And thanks for watching another one of my videos.